Hi, and welcome to session 3. We're right into our theme called Gifted by Faith, where we look at the question, what have we been gifted to be? You know, last week we started with our first letter, G, our grace gifts. And as we explained, these are really the gifts that God gives us to begin with. They're how we've started. Today we're looking at the letter I, or our influence gifts. And really, this is a look at how we have been shaped through the people who have come in through our lives, how we've been shaped by the culture that's around us. One way to think of it is maybe like playing piano. Some people are naturally gifted in playing piano. They can pick up a tune, and others, they struggle with it. But lots of practice, great piano teachers, and 10 years later, maybe they're playing piano really, really well. Some of you have been influenced over your years with a gift that has been shaped and developed to become better and better. And that's what we're really looking at today. So the passage that we're going to go into is found in Acts 16, verse 1 to 5. And really we're looking for this session at Timothy as a bit of a case study. Timothy was a bit of a disciple of Paul, and in Acts 16, 1 to 5, you're going to see how this sort of influence comes about for him. So let's turn to it right now. And Paul came also to Derbe and to Lystra. A disciple was there named Timothy. So this is how we hear about Timothy. The son of a Jewish woman who was a believer. But his father was a Greek. Now clearly it was important that his father was Greek. That means uncircumcised, not from the Jewish tradition, and his mother was a Jew. He was well spoken of by the brothers at Lystra and Iconium, so he had already had some kind of good standing. But Paul wanted Timothy, in verse 3, to accompany him. And so he took him and he circumcised him because of the Jews who were in these places, for they all knew his father was a Greek. And as they went on their way through the cities, they delivered to them for observance the decisions that had been reached by the apostles and the elders who were in Jerusalem. And then in verse 5, so the churches were strengthened in the faith, and they increased in numbers daily. I want you to see the beginning of the story of the journey of Timothy. He goes on to become Paul's successor. But this is largely because Paul invested his time and mentorship into Timothy. He begins this just introduced as a son of a Jewish woman. And then Paul, is one of his first moves, says, hey, you've got to be circumcised. And so, I guess, poor Timothy goes through this kind of mentorship with Paul in order for him to, better relate to the Jews that he's going to be ministering with. Paul clearly, it's not for Timothy's salvation or anything, but Paul clearly does this just as a matter of wisdom for Timothy. And so as we reflect on this passage and how it actually worked out really well for Tim, I hope that you would look at your own life. Who in your life has influenced you or shaped you? Maybe told you something really awkward or got you to do something a little bit weird but has turned out to be really good for you. You know, there is a duality in all of the people that influence us. I was reading a book about this called The Duality of Parenting. Did you know that your parents, who are probably one of your single most influential people in your lives, have both good and bad influences on you? Your parents could be the very best thing for you, and they could have shaped the best qualities in you. At the same time, they could have brought out the worst in you. And so I hope that as you reflect on this, that we would view all of the influences that God has given us through this gifted lens. I don't know if you know this, but God can use even the bad things that have happened in your life for good. Some of the great people that I've read in autobiographies, Nelson Mandela, who's just passed away, part of what shaped him to be the man that he is were the tragedies that occurred in his life. His years in prison, the suffering that he had to go through apartheid. It is possible for you to look through your life with a gifted lens and say, the influences in my life have been bad. Sure, there have been some good things, but man, have there been some bad things. Someone with a gifted mentality goes, God, what you have, what I have seen as bad, you have intended for good. You know, Joseph was a good example of that. And I hope today, as you explore Genesis 50 verse 20 in your discussion, you'll see how God has even used someone like Joseph, who had just bad things occur all through life, end up using that as a gift for his family. I hope you have a good discussion. God bless.